You're safe. You can just be here with me for a while. It makes sense if your mind feels awake, even though your body is tired. Some nights feel like that. Restless does not mean you're doing anything wrong. You don't have to fix your thoughts tonight. You don't have to calm down on purpose. You don't have to get this right. Just listening is enough. And if sleep comes quickly, you can let it take you. You don't need to stay awake for any reason. If your attention wanders, that's okay. You don't have to pull it back quickly. You can let it drift and come back only when it comes back on its own. If your mind keeps offering plans, old conversations, unfinished lists, that can be part of the night. You don't have to sort any of it out right now. You can let it all be unhandled for a while. I'll keep my voice steady. You can stop holding yourself up inside. You can stop checking whether you're relaxing. Nothing to finish. And even if some part of you keeps watch, that's okay too. You don't have to force that part too. It can stay nearby without running the whole night. You can let this be simple. Just a few quiet minutes where nothing is asked of you. No performance. No fixing. No catching up. If you notice any bracing in your body, you can let it soften a little. Only if that feels comfortable. If it doesn't, you can ignore this and simply rest as you are. And you don't have to look for the bracing. If you notice it, you notice it. If you don't, that's fine. You might feel the surface under you, steady and supportive. No need to adjust anything. Just letting the weight be held, even a fraction more. If it feels okay, you can let your shoulders drop by the smallest amount. Only what's easy. And if your shoulders stay lifted, they can stay lifted. If it feels comfortable, you can let your jaw be a little less busy. Not changing it, just letting it rest. And if that doesn't happen, nothing needs to happen. If you want, you can let your hands be heavy wherever they are. No special position. And if your hands feel restless, they can be restless. And if it feels natural, you can allow one easy breath to happen. Not a deep breath, not a special breath. Just the next one, the way it already wants to move. If your breathing stays shallow or uneven, that is completely fine. You don't have to use the breath to change anything. You can just let it be proof that your body already knows how to keep going. You can let thoughts pass through without following them. You don't have to make space or force quiet. And if you do follow one for a while, that's okay. When you notice, you can simply return to this moment again. No correction needed. I'm here. This moment is allowed to be simple. You are safe exactly as you are. And you can drift whenever you drift. And even if you don't drift yet, you're still doing fine. You can rest in the not yet. You can let the night take its time. You can keep resting in that. And at the same time, you might sense a place that feels quietly nearby. Not a place you have to find. Not a place you have to reach. Just the simple feeling of a sanctuary that exists, whether you picture it clearly or not. It's private, unoccupied. No one waiting for you. No one watching. Just a calm, steady room of warm stone and soft light. The stone feels gently warmed, the kind of warmth that doesn't ask you to notice it. The light is diffuse, steady and low. Calm shadows rest where they rest, without moving around. The air is still and easy to breathe. Nothing sharp, nothing sudden, just quiet steadiness, like the space itself has been patient for a long time. And you don't have to do anything with this image. If it stays vague, that's perfect. If it comes and goes, that's fine too. And if you're feeling tense or a little guarded, that can be here too. If there's a thread of worry or a small bit of hope, it can all rest in the same quiet room. Nothing has to be resolved to be allowed. For a moment, we can simply rest in the feeling of being contained, supported, not asked for more. If it feels comfortable, you can let your shoulders be a little less held up. Only the smallest release, only what's easy. And if they don't change at all, nothing needs to change. If you want, you can let your jaw be slightly unworked, not forcing it open, just letting it rest in its own natural place. And if your jaw stays tense, it can stay tense. And if it helps, you might notice the air touching your face in a simple, ordinary way, or the surface under your hands, wherever they happen to be. Nothing to adjust. Just contact, just support. Back in that quiet sanctuary feeling. Warm stone holding its warmth. Soft light doing what light does, without any message for you. Nothing in this place depends on how you're doing. You don't have to be calm enough to belong here. You don't have to be tired enough or quiet enough. Nothing to finish. And if thoughts drift through, they can drift through. They don't need a response. They don't need to be corrected. And if your mind keeps scanning, checking, listening for what comes next, that's okay. It can do that for a while. You don't have to make it stop. This place stays quiet either way. We can let the body be held by whatever you're resting on. Let the breath keep happening in its own way. Let this sanctuary be simply present in the background. And then again, just the same small rhythm. Settle into the warmth that doesn't demand attention. Let one small area soften, only if it's easy. And let the rest stay as it is. If it feels comfortable, you can let your tongue rest wherever it naturally rests. Sometimes the tongue presses lightly without you meaning to, and it can get a little tired. Not placing it perfectly, just letting it be less busy. And if that doesn't happen, that's fine. You might notice the light, not as something to look at, just as a steady dimness that makes everything feel less exposed. Private in the simplest way. No audience, no expectation, nothing to finish. Rest here for a moment. Soften only if it's easy. Remember you're allowed to drift. And then, gently, let everything loosen its grip. You can keep listening, or you can let my words become just sound. Either way, you are safe. And as you rest in that safety, the sanctuary can feel even simpler. Not a scene to hold in your mind. More like a steady atmosphere that has always been here. Warm stone, soft light, air that feels dense in a gentle way, like it supports everything without asking anything back. If your thoughts keep moving, that's allowed. If they slow down, that's allowed too. You don't have to manage them. And if the body is still holding on in small places, that can be here too. A forehead still a little tight. A chest still a little guarded. A belly that has not decided to soften yet. Nothing about that is wrong. Nothing needs to be pushed away. The warmth stays steady, hot, not pressing in. Just that quiet kind of warmth that makes the body less interested in holding itself up. And the light stays low and diffuse. Nothing flickering, nothing changing to get your attention. The shadows can rest exactly where they are. And you can let that be enough. Enough warmth, enough dimness, enough steadiness. You might notice, somewhere in this steady room, a simple bowl at rest. Not special, not precious. Just a bowl with a little weight to it, sitting quietly on stone. It doesn't need you to do anything. It doesn't need you to look for it in your mind. It can be clear, or it can be vague. And even if you don't sense it at all, it can still be there in the background, like the idea of something steady, present without asking for your attention. And if you like, you can let it represent one very ordinary thing. A place for sound to settle. A place where vibration can become still again. Not as a performance, not as a message, just as something steady that exists, whether you notice it or not. In this sanctuary, even resonance feels calm, like a low, soft fullness in the air. The kind of feeling you get when a room is well built and quiet, and nothing is echoing sharply. And if your mind keeps checking for the next thing, that can rest here too. It can listen and still be safe. It can scan and still be held. If a thought arrives, it can arrive. It can pause in that warmth for a moment. And it can pass on without needing an answer from you. You can let the weight of your body be real. The surface under you can do its job. And your breath can keep happening in its own timing, without correction. If it feels comfortable, you might notice one place where the breath is already easy. Maybe the coolness at the nostrils, or a small rise and fall somewhere in the chest, or the simple movement low in the belly. And if you can't find an easy place, you don't need to search. The breath can stay ordinary. The breath can stay quiet. You can let it happen without monitoring it. If it feels comfortable, You might sense the air in this room as a kind of gentle thickness, not heavy in a trapping way, just supportive, like warmth that has settled and stayed. And if you notice any part of you still bracing, still holding its breath in tiny ways, that can be included too. Included, not fixed. Allowed to be exactly what it is. And if you don't sense any of that, it's still fine. You don't need a particular experience. The sanctuary is not waiting for you to get it right. From here, you can follow my words closely, or you can let them blur at the edges. You can let them come through like distant sound in a quiet room. There is nothing to figure out, nothing to hold in place, and nothing you have to complete, nothing you have to stay awake for. Just a steady room being steady. The bowl can remain simply at rest. The stone can keep its warmth. The light can stay low. And you can drift whenever you drift. You can miss whole sentences. You can forget you're listening. If your mind is still scanning, still checking, it can soften in small moments. Not because you force it, just because this room asks for nothing. Warmth, steady stone, gentle air. You don't have to listen for anything important. You can let the words pass by. Nothing to finish. And still, nothing changes in a way you have to track. The same warm stone, the same soft light, only a sense of space settling into another layer of quiet. Not somewhere else, not a new place to picture, just the sanctuary, softer at the edges. The air feels even more patient, like it has stopped asking the mind to hold a shape. And if the mind still tries, that's allowed too. It can try for a moment and then forget what it was trying to do. If you notice that your attention keeps trying to outline the room, that's okay. It can do that for a while. And it can also get tired of doing it. There is no need to correct it. No need to steer it into anything better. The light stays low and calm. A little more diffuse than before. Not dim in a heavy way. Just easy to be with. Easy to let be in the background. Easy to stop noticing. And the stone keeps its warmth. Not brighter, not stronger, simply steady. Warm enough to make the body less interested in bracing. And if the body still braces anyway, that can be included. In this second space of resonance, even the idea of an edge feels unnecessary. The boundary between you and the room can be less defined. Not disappearing, just less important. More like a softness that doesn't require a clear line. More like a quiet continuity. If it feels comfortable, you might let one exhale be a little less held. Not longer. controlled, just less guarded. And you don't have to keep doing it. One easy letting go is enough. And if that doesn't happen, it's still fine. The body can keep its own way. The breath can stay ordinary. It can be shallow or deep. Fast or slow. It can change on its own without you tracking any of it. Thoughts can float through. They don't need a response. They don't need to be improved. And you don't have to be the one who manages them. If a thought brings a little tension with it, that can pass through too. A thought can come in, warm itself for a moment, and move on. Or it can drift at the edge of hearing, like sound in a room that isn't trying to echo. And if another thought arrives right after, that's allowed. Nothing needs to be spaced perfectly. And as the edges blur, you can let your sense of yourself blur in the same gentle way. Not disappearing, not dissolving into anything dramatic. Just softening around the outline of effort. Just loosening around the need to be precise. If it feels comfortable, you might notice where the surface under you is already holding you. Without asking you to participate. Without needing you to do it right. And if you don't notice it, it still holds you. The same warm stone. The same soft light. The same patient air. And the sanctuary, softer at the edges, whether you picture it clearly or not. If your attention returns to the habit of checking, that can happen. Checking can be here too. And it can quiet down again when it's ready. No pushing. No persuading. And I'm still here with you in the same quiet, not asking anything from you. And somewhere inside this quiet, the simplest landmark returns, almost without words. Nothing to earn. Nothing to complete. Nothing you have to stay alert for. You can drift in the middle of it. You can let that be enough. Enough reassurance. Enough permission. Enough warmth. Enough softness. Enough quiet without trying to make it deeper. If your mind wants to check whether you are doing this right, it can soften around that too. No argument needed. No fixing. You don't have to convince yourself of anything. You can simply be unpressured here. The sanctuary remains steady. The warmth remains ordinary. The light remains gentle. And the edges keep blurring on their own, in their own slow timing. Nothing depends on your attention. And you can be here in the simplest way. Listening closely. Or not listening much at all. You can miss a line. You can miss a whole minute. You can come back and find the same steadiness waiting. the edges can keep blurring on their own. You don't have to help. And you don't have to hold on to this second quiet layer either. It can hold itself. And it can hold itself. You don't have to keep track of the quiet. You don't have to keep your place. The warm stone stays exactly as it is. The soft light stays low and steady. Still air rests around you without asking anything from your body. If there is any part of you that has been clenched, even a little, it can begin to loosen in its own timing. Not on purpose. Not as a project. Just the smallest easing, like a hand that no longer has to hold. You might notice it in the jaw. Or behind the eyes. Or in the belly. Or you might not notice it at all. Either way, the stone keeps holding you. The air keeps being still. If a breath moves through and meets a tight place, it can simply pass by. No need to fix the tightness. No need to change the breath. Just a quiet permission for what's already here to soften or not soften. Some releases are so small they feel like nothing. And that counts too. An unclenching that doesn't announce itself. A settling that happens in the background. The soft light makes calm shadows. Shadows that do not move quickly. Shadows that do not ask to be understood. Just quiet shape resting where it rests. If it feels comforting, you can let this be true for a moment. You are allowed to ease. And if that sentence feels like too much, you can let it go. You don't have to take it in. You can simply stay with the ordinary steadiness of the stone beneath you. I'm here with you, steady and quiet, while you rest in your own way. There may be a place in you that has been bracing for the next thing. The next thought. The next sound. The next moment. And even that bracing can unclench a fraction. Not all at once. Just enough to feel the still air again. If your mind starts arranging and rearranging, it can do that softly from far away. It can murmur at the edge, and the rest of you can keep settling. The stone stays warm. The light stays gentle. The shadows stay calm. And the resonance underneath, it all stays smooth, like a steady background that doesn't need your attention. If it feels comforting, you can let another simple phrase float by. You don't have to hold yourself up right now. And if you don't want phrases at all, that's allowed. You can let my words become part of the background, the way the soft light becomes part of the room. Notice, if you happen to notice, the way the surface under you is already doing the work of holding. Without effort from you. Without a decision. And if you don't notice, nothing changes. You might sense the weight of your body meeting that support, simple and unforced. A slow unclenching can move through the shoulders, or through the hands, or through the tongue resting inside the mouth. It can be subtle, almost unremarkable. Like still air smoothing a corner that was tense. If a little warmth spreads, you can let it spread. If it doesn't, you can let that be true too. The sanctuary doesn't change either way. If it feels comforting, one more quiet reminder can arrive and then pass. You can rest without solving anything. And now, it can be simpler than even that. The warm stone, the soft light, calm shadows, still air, you can let the spaces between my words grow wider. You can let the sound of my voice be something you don't have to follow closely. Your attention can drift and return, or drift and not return. Nothing to finish. And the comfort can keep going quietly on its own. but you don't have to picture it clearly. The soft light is still here. Flow. Steady. The air stays still. And you don't have to follow anything. If it feels natural, you can let one breath be simple. In and out. Nothing to do with it. Nothing to do it right. Or you can ignore the breath completely. If it feels comforting, you can notice a soft heaviness. Your body meeting what holds it. And if you don't notice that, it still holds you. A small soften can happen anywhere. In the jaw, around the eyes, in the hands, or nowhere you can name. All of it is fine. You don't have to hold yourself up right now. And if the mind tries to listen for what comes next, it can stop trying. It can miss a few words. It can miss many. Nothing gets lost. The warm stone. Still here. The soft light. Still here. The still air. If it feels natural, you can let another breath arrive without being watched. In and out. And if that feels like effort, you can let it go. You can whatever way you are already breathing. And you don't have to keep track. If it feels comforting, you can notice the heaviness again. Not forcing it. Just the simple fact of being supported. And if you're not feeling heaviness at all, that's fine too. The holding stays. A soften might pass through the shoulders. Or the belly. Or the space behind the eyes. Or it might not. Either way, you are not doing this wrong. You don't have to make anything happen. You can let it be as it is. And now, even the scene can begin to let go of its edges. The stone becomes less distinct. Just a sense of warmth beneath. And even that warmth can be gentle. Not something you have to feel strongly. Just a quiet maybe. The light becomes less like light. More like a gentle dimness that never changes. And you don't have to notice the dimness either. You can let it be there without attention. The shadows are not shapes anymore. Just calm. And the calm does not need to be held. It can hold itself. The air is simply there. Unmoving. busy. If a breath brushes the still air, that's enough. If it doesn't feel like anything, that's enough too. Even the resonance underneath can grow quieter. Thinner. Like something you don't need to listen for. You can let my words pass by. You can stop tracking them. If you fall asleep in the middle of a sentence, that's completely okay. You don't have to stay with me. And you don't have to hold yourself up. Not even a little. Nothing is required of you. Just this. Safety. Warmth. And even those words can thin out. Safety. Warmth. And it can be less than words. Still held. Still safe. You don't have to keep your place. You don't have to listen closely. Only the simplest steadiness. And nothing you need to do with it. Only the simplest steadiness. And nothing you need to do with it. You can let go of listening now. You can let the words blur. Or pass you by completely. And even if something in you keeps listening for a moment, that is okay too. soften when it is ready. The warmth underneath does not ask for your attention. It stays, whether you notice it or not. And you can be here in the simplest way. Nothing to prove. Nothing to hold together. The dimness stays gentle. Steady. Unconcerned with what your mind is doing. If thoughts float through, they can. If nothing in particular is happening, that can be true too. If you notice any last little brace in the body, it can loosen in its own time. Or it can stay for now. Either way, you are still allowed to rest. You are allowed to rest without effort. And you do not have to be calm to rest. You can rest exactly as you are. And if sleep is already near, it can come closer on its own. No need to help it. Your body can keep settling in its own quiet way. Heavy or light. Either one is fine. The jaw can unclench by a fraction. The shoulders can stop trying. The hands can be unimportant. And if you do not notice any of that, it still happens, or it doesn't. You don't have to keep track of anything. You don't have to hold any awareness in place. If you find yourself checking, you can stop checking. And if you you keep checking, you can still rest. A soft reassurance can be enough. Still held. Still safe. And you are not alone in this quiet. There is nothing you need to carry by yourself right now. And then even that can fade. My voice can become part of the background. Less important than the quiet. Less distinct. Less necessary. If you notice the breath, it can be only a whisper of movement. If you don't notice it, nothing changes. You can let each sound be only a sound. You can let each word be only a word. And you can let all of it drift past without needing to do anything with it. Another faint wave, and you can release it too. You are safe to drift. Safe to stop listening. And if you fall asleep right here, you do not miss anything. If you wake again later,